During the testimony of the last witness, who was Lieutenant Foss, you heard references to various reports, one of which he said he wrote, one of which he said he didn't. And throughout the course of this trial, you may hear various witnesses questioned about something that they may have said in a report, or perhaps something somebody else said in a report. It could be a reference to something a witness may have said in an interview, even perhaps a recorded interview. It may be a reference to what someone may have said in a grand jury. And when you hear these things, you may think to yourself, I'd like to see that report. I'd like to see that recorded interview. I'd like to see the grand jury transcript. What I want you to understand is that our rules of evidence allow the lawyers to make certain limited use of these documents. One of the most frequent ones is if somebody has said something in a report, for example, on a prior occasion, that may be construed to be somewhat different from what the witness may be saying on the witness stand. They may be asked, didn't you say something different during an interview? Didn't you say something different in your report? Did you say something different before the grand jury when testifying? That's a permissible use. But what neither side can do, neither lawyer on either side or any of the lawyers on either side can do, is simply offer those documents into evidence. So you shouldn't hold it against any attorney or the parties they represent that you're not seeing these things that you might think you'd like to see, because our rules of evidence don't permit them to do that. And so I want you to understand that at the outset as you start to hear these references to various documents and the like. Mr. Camilio, your next witness.
Thank you. Matthew Swinson.
Stand on this blue line.
Sir, if you would kindly face me and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in the cross now and hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you. You may be seated.
Good morning, sir. In a nice loud voice, could you introduce yourself to the jury and spell your last name, please?
Good morning. My name is Matthew Swinson. It's S-W-E-N-S-O-N.
All right. And I know it's maybe a little uncomfortable because you're a big guy and the microphone's a little too far away from you. You can pull it a little bit closer if you need to, sort of by the stem there. And sir, what do you do for work?
I am a fire lieutenant, EMT.
All right. And how long have you been a firefighter, sir, with the Salisbury Fire Department?
25 years.
Okay. And as a lieutenant with the fire department, so what are your duties and responsibilities?
I'm in charge of a shift. I have 3 firefighters under me.
Okay. And what sort of calls do you and other members of the Salisbury Fire Department respond to?
We respond to fire calls, public assists, medical emergencies, public service, pretty much everything.
All right. You guys are the Swiss Army knife of that sort of thing. So you also mentioned that in addition to being a lieutenant, you're also an EMT. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
All right. And when did you get your EMT training, sir?
In 1996.
Okay. So it's
30 years.
30 years. All right. So were you an EMT prior to becoming a firefighter?
Yes.
And that is just the basic EMT certification?
Yes.
All right. Now, sir, I want to take you back to November 11th of 2022. Were you working on that day?
Yes, I was.
Okay. And the jury heard from Lieutenant Foss a few minutes ago. So were the 2 lieutenants on shift that day?
No, I was just a firefighter at that time.
Oh, hadn't been promoted yet at that time. When did you get promoted?
2 years ago.
All right. So that particular day, you, Lieutenant Foss, and a couple of other individuals responded to a medical call a little bit after 8 a.m. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And do you remember where you went?
It was, I believe, 108 Central Avenue.
Was that an address that you were just sort of familiar with from living in Salisbury or being a member of this?
We knew Central Ave. We do a lot of calls on down the beach area. Yes.
Okay. All right. So you Lieutenant Swinson, arrived in the fire truck to that address. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And what did you do when you got there, sir?
I was riding the rear. which is usually the tech guy, which we call it. I grabbed my first in bag, and I went down the walkway toward where the police officer was.
Okay. And so as the first in guy or the tech guy, what does that mean?
We're usually the ones that make patient contact first, or to the family. We'll ask what was going on, we'll talk to the family, ask what was going on, and then talk to the patient.
Just to sort of divide up the roles?
Yes. Yeah.
So you go into the apartment, into that floor of the home, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and when you entered, what did you see as you entered the apartment?
We walked in, there was a lot of boxes and stuff around in the apartment. And the female met me at the door, and then I could hear the gentleman moaning. So she walked me into the bedroom where he was. He was sitting on the floor in the bedroom.
Okay. Did you recognize either the woman who entered the door or the man who was on the floor at that time?
No, I've never met them before.
Okay. So you see the man on the floor in the bedroom. You later learned his name to be Leroy Fowler, is that
Yes,
correct?
yes,
All right.
yes.
And so what were your initial, aside from the moaning, you said you could hear from the other room, what were your initial observations of Mr. Fowler when you first saw him?
He was, like I said, he was sitting on the floor in the bedroom. He was just kind of like reaching out. He just had his arms out, and he was moaning.
Okay. Did you make contact with him?
Yes.
All right. What was the result of that sort of first contact you made with Mr. Fowler?
I didn't get anything back from him. I believe I called his name, and I asked him what was going on. He was unable to answer me.
Okay. Just did he continue to moan?
Yeah, he continued to moan and just reach out.
So fair to say he was conscious.
Yes.
Okay. What would you describe his alertness? How would you describe that?
He wasn't very alert. He was conscious. He was breathing fine, but he wasn't very alert. He was, like I said, he was just reaching out and just moaning.
Okay. Now, did you provide any aid to him while you were in the apartment?
We attempted to get vital signs from him, but it was extremely difficult because he was, like I said, he was moving around, kept on moving his arms.
Just couldn't hold still.
Couldn't hold still, so I kept on asking questions, like asking questions to him, see if he would answer me, and asking questions to the female about any history he had, any medications he'd take.
Okay. Was he ever able to answer any of those questions that you asked him about any medical conditions or questions he asked him?
Not at all.
So based on what you were seeing, because you couldn't get vitals and he wasn't able to give you any information, based on what you were seeing at that point in time, were you able to tell what was wrong with him?
I was not, no.
So based on, again, what you're seeing and what you're hearing from him, was that the type of moaning or the breathing that was that at all significant to you or concerning?
No, his breathing was fine. His pulse was fine. He had a really strong pulse. It was just he was unable to answer me.
Okay. So based on that, what you were seeing, what you were hearing, what do you guys decide to do at that point?
He definitely need to be transported to the hospital as soon as possible for higher care.
Yeah. Okay. More care than
More care.
basic EMT can provide.
Yes.
Yep. Did you see any signs of on Mr. Fowler, any evidence, breath or anything else that he'd been drinking alcohol or something like that?
I didn't smell anything. I got down pretty close to him. When I was trying to talk to him, I didn't smell anything.
You were kind of holding him up at that point?
I was kind of holding him up and trying to keep his arms from flailing around.
Was that to keep you from getting hurt, keep him from getting hurt?
Both. Yes.
One of the terms that you used earlier was, I don't want to get it wrong, was you were giving a description of his alertness level. What was the word you used? Was it somewhat, or what was the word you used?
We do when we do our report. It's conscious and alert and oriented. Is
Yeah.
what we use. Our report is like CAO, and we do either It's either ×4, which is a normal person who's talking. ×3 is a little confused. ×2 is very confused. So he was very confused. I'd probably say probably a ×2. A ×1 is almost unresponsive.
So he was conscious but not responsive to your question?
Yes, that's correct.
By conscious, obviously, you mean he's breathing.
He's breathing.
awake.
Yeah, he's breathing. He had a good heart rate.
That's sort of the base, sort of the bottom level, I guess.
Yes.
And then, once you said he wasn't able to answer any of your questions in the bedroom, correct?
None.
All right. So you and some of the other individuals that were there providing assistance, you put him in a special kind of chair for transport out of the apartment?
Yes, we call it a stair chair. It's we sit them in it. They're secured to the chair with seat belts to carry them out of the residence.
And called a stair chair? 'Cause
Stair chair.
it's going up and down the stairs?
Yes.
So from the time you put him in the chair, you then sort of take him downstairs and wheel him over to the ambulance, is that correct?
Yes.
The ambulance is not operated by the fire department?
No, it's a private service.
So from when you all help him out of the apartment to the ambulance, during that time at all, was he able to say anything to you regarding his condition?
I don't believe so.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Mr. Norquist?
Sir, you've been continually employed by the fire department since November of 2022, correct?
Yes, sir.
And on an average yearly basis, how many calls such as this would you respond to? Medical calls.
Medical calls, I'd say probably 1,000 to 1,500 a year.
And so from 2022 to now, you had somewhere around another 5,000 calls, right?
Yes, sir.
And it's fair to say there was nothing significantly unusual about this call, correct? Let me strike that clear. Did you have an opportunity to look at the video before you came in to testify today?
I did, sir. I was shown that.
And in the context of that video, is it fair to say that there was nothing significantly unusual when you arrived? Meaning, his arm wasn't hanging off, you didn't need to do immediate medical attention to it.
No, nothing that I saw that needed immediate attention.
And in relation then to what was done for him at that point in time, you were part of the group that was there. My understanding now is that only one of that group of firefighters writes a report afterwards called a pre-hospital care report, correct?
That's correct, sir. It's usually the tech who takes care of the patient who has initial contact. That would be me.
And did you have an opportunity to look at that before you came in here today to refresh your memory?
I did not, sir.
And if I showed you a document, would you be able to tell me that's the report that you in fact did?
Sure.
May I approach?
Yes, you may.
Ask you to just take a moment and look at that cover sheet, sir. Is that the document that you prepared in relation to the response you did for Mr. Fowler?
Yes, it is, sir.
And how quickly after the event is that done?
It's usually done right after the call when we get back to quarters.
And the words that are contained within the narrative would have reflected your memory of what had occurred, right?
Yes, sir.
And is it fair to say that you said he was conscious and somewhat alert, line 4 in the narrative?
Yes. Conscious and somewhat alert. Yeah. Sorry, I forgot my reading glasses.
Sorry. So it does say you wrote down conscious and somewhat alert when you arrived.
Yes. Yes, that's correct.
I don't have any further questions.
Any redirect redirect, Mr. Oh, you can collect that first. Any redirect, Mr. Camilli?
No, thank you.
Thank you very much. You may step down, Lieutenant. Mr. Camilli?
Jonathan Lemke,